What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality Podcast. I am your host. I'm Caitlin Kenneth Smith, and today we are getting into week 5 of 8 of your sustainable fat loss journey. Now, before we get into today's topic, because it's a fucking good one, and it's one that all of you need to hear, no matter where you're at on your journey, whether you're just getting started, or you've been here for a hot minute, or you've been in this fitness journey for a while, it's relevant to you. So listen up. But before we get into it, I want to just highlight something. Actually, I want to highlight a few things. Number one, I am fucking hype off life right now. So if I seem extra passionate or extra enthusiastic during this episode, it's because my husband came home yesterday for a week, but he's home, so that's amazing. But I'm also drinking coffee, and I added an extra shot of espresso into it because usually I just make my coffee at home. I'm a basic person. I prefer to get my own good coffee, make it at home, be able to control that, rather than go to Starbucks or go to Dunkin' Donuts and get something that isn't as good as I like it. I'm kind of like a coffee snob, but my husband likes Starbucks, and so for the first time in a really long time, I went to Starbucks with him, and I added a shot of espresso to my coffee, so I'm feeling good, and I even added a scoop of First Form's new red velvet cake collagen. So I put collagen in my coffee all of the time. I usually aim for the peppermint mocha flavor, but that one is seasonal. However, I stocked up because I'm basic. I like me some peppermint mocha all year round. However, this red velvet cake is spot on. So if you're somebody who likes collagen, because I feel like so many people are taking it nowadays, collagen is really good for hair, skin, nails, joints, and tendons. This collagen is by far the best collagen I've ever tasted. It dissolves really easily in water, in milk. I put it in coffee because it gives you that sense of I'm drinking like a sweet, fancy latte without it being too sweet, but also it's 60 calories and has 15 grams of protein, as opposed to sweet lattes that you get from like Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts that have closer probably to 500 or 600 calories and taste like you're drinking candy, which is, I'm not about that life. So this collagen is phenomenal. If you're a collagen lover, I will put the link down below in the show notes for you guys to check that out. But the third thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is probably the most important thing, is that as of right now, you're listening to this. It is February 19th. I'm recording this on the 18th. And I'm opening up 5 coaching spots for the month of March. So if you're interested in one of those 5 coaching spots, there's a link in the show notes for you to fill out an application. Or you can just head over to Instagram and you can DM me no BS, so NO space BS, and I will get you all the details and we can talk about what you're struggling with, how long you've been struggling with that for, what your goals are, and if I feel like I can help you, then I'm going to fucking help you. So if you're listening to this, your sustainable fat loss journey, and you're really invested in this, but you want to level things up, or you just want to stop wasting your time and just invest in yourself, I'm here for you. But let's get into today's topic. Today's topic is all about the plastic monster that lives in your bathroom for most people. And that is the scale. So let's talk about the scale, because we're a few weeks into this sustainable fat loss journey, if you're following along. And if you're somebody who started off on New Year's, then you're about, 6, almost 8 weeks into your fitness journey of 2024. And throughout this entire podcast series, we've spoken about calories, we spoke about protein, we spoke about fiber, movement, resistance training, recovery. And if you've been following what I've been talking about consistently, then you're probably starting to feel and see some changes. If you're doing it the right way, I can guarantee that you are. And this is also the time where I start to see a lot of people get a little bit frustrated with one thing, and that's the scale. So I felt that this is the perfect time to talk about that evil piece of plastic that sits on your bathroom floor. I want you to just kind of reflect. Have you ever done this? Have you ever done the scale dance? You step on it. You don't really like the number that pops up, so then you step off and then you try again. Maybe if you do that a couple times, it'll give you a different number. Be honest, because I know that I've done that before. I do it all the fucking time. And then I also want you to think about this. Do you ever feel let down by the scale? And I want you to be 100% honest with yourself. Because if you do, I want you to realize you're not alone. Does the scale or the number on the scale ever make you just feel let down? Or do you allow the number on the scale to impact your happiness and success of the day? Do you allow the number on the scale to impact your habits and behaviors of that day? Right? Because how many times, I know in my journey, have I stepped on the scale and I saw a number that I didn't necessarily like, so I thought, okay, what I'll do today is I'll do more cardio, or I'll work out harder, or I'll eat less, or I'll do both, and maybe then the scale will do something that I want it to do. And if you really think about that, that's such a sick relationship that you have with the scale, or that so many people have with the scale. You're allowing a number on a piece of plastic to impact what you do over the course of the day and how your process goes. Where instead, you could just use the scale as data, and you can continue your process and trust your process and go all in on each day no matter what the number says. You're going to see better results. So sometimes it does make sense when the scale isn't moving in our favor. You know, maybe you weren't necessarily 100% on your plan. Maybe you weren't very consistent that week. And that's on you. And you have to accept that if that is you and take personal responsibility. But sometimes it doesn't really make any fucking sense. Like you step on the scale all confident because you've been doing everything right. You hit your protein goal. You stayed underneath your calories. You hit your calorie goal. You hit your fiber. You did all your workouts. You did all your steps. You slept really good. And you step on the scale and then you feel fucking let down and frustrated because of the number. So first, I want you to remember that if you are doing the work and you're focusing on the process and you're following through on the game plan you have set up, and the scale doesn't go the way you want, I can promise you that it's not body fat. It is not body fat. So today I wanted to give you guys some peace of mind and tell you why the scale bounces, and more importantly, why you shouldn't fucking stress it. And with this, I wanted to focus on a few specific areas to keep it as simple as possible for you guys, because I'm all about that. Inflammation, hormones, and food. And under the category of food, we'll also talk about water. So let's start from the top. Let's start with that inflammation. Now I'm gonna break down inflammation in a few different ways on how it can impact the weight on the scale. But first, before I do that, I want to kind of give you a little bit of a summary or a foundation of what inflammation actually is. So inflammation is an immune response that our body uses to heal. When an area of our body is inflamed, say we twist our ankle, and we feel that pain and it gets all swollen, sometimes black and blue, our body is bringing nutrients and water to that area of inflammation. And with water brings weight, right? Because water is not, it weighs something, all right? So inflammation comes from a few different things. And we're talking inflammation in the context of the scale, because we can get really nitty gritty and in depth on inflammation. And I'll do another podcast on inflammation because that deserves a whole podcast all in itself for you guys to truly understand how it impacts your body. But today we're going to be keeping it all within the realm of the scale, again, to keep things simple and not confuse the hell out of you. All right. So stress. Cortisol is our body's stress hormone, which becomes elevated from emotional stress or even not sleeping enough. And most of us don't sleep enough, or it's the first thing that we put on the back burner when life gets crazy. And I spoke about that all in the recovery episode from 2 weeks ago. And if you have a terrible night of sleep, I bet your ass that scale is going up because your body's inflamed and cortisol is elevated. All right, so if you have a bad night of sleep, that's probably why the scale is up. The second thing is workouts, and this is something that you probably don't think about. If you had a tough workout and you are really sore, that soreness means your body is inflamed. And water is drawn to the areas to help with muscle recovery. So again, water comes with weight. So if you're sore, the scale might be up because your body's inflamed from the muscle damage. And that's 100% normal. The third type of inflammation, and we're going to touch on this here and then we'll get to it a little bit later, is gut inflammation. So if you eat something that irritates your stomach, then you're going to be holding on to some water. You might be a little bit bloated. And again, I'm going to get to a little bit more of that. But first, I want to talk a little bit about hormones, specifically to the ladies out there. So ladies, we have this thing that happens every single month, our menstrual cycle. And at different times in this cycle, we have different hormone fluctuations. And those hormone fluctuations lead to sodium and water retention. And this has the same impact as when we miss out on sleep. Hormones are elevated, which will cause you to retain more water. And in fact, I like to use this example all of the time. Back when I was a trainer at Crunch Fitness, it's where I really started to step into my personal training role. Back in 2012 to 2016 2016 to I don't even remember when I worked there. Hold on. 2014 to 2018, we're going to go. I worked there for 4 or 5 years. Anyway, we ran a Get Fit challenge, and it's basically an 8-week challenge that we ran at the gym. It was awesome. People got really into it. All of the trainers had teams, and each client was on a leaderboard. It was really fucking cool. And I had a client who won the Get Fit challenge, and she lost 30 pounds in those 8 weeks. But during those 8 weeks, she had 2 menstrual cycles, obviously, 2 months. And during her menstrual cycle, she gained, and I'm not even over-exaggerating here, she gained 8 to 10 pounds every single time. And I worked with her for years. And every single time she had a menstrual cycle, she gained 8 to 10 pounds. She just was somebody who held on to a lot of water during that time. So everyone's going to be different on how much the scale is impacted in this situation. But if it's that time of the month, you should anticipate the scale to be up. All right, so this happens for a couple different reasons. Water retention, like I said, hormone fluctuations during the menstrual cycle, specifically estrogen and progesterone levels, can lead to water retention, and this can cause temporary weight gain and bloating, which is going to reflect on the scale. Another thing, and this is the reality, is your appetite increases. All right, and when your appetite increases and you're not managing your calories, most people are going to eat more during their menstrual cycle. And the increased calorie intake can contribute to temporary weight gain. Again, if you're not managing your calories, sometimes people don't even realize that they're eating more. And then another thing, constipation. Guys, when we have hormonal changes that can reflect in our bowel movements, leading to constipation for some people during their menstrual cycle. And this, again, obviously can cause temporary weight gain because there is literal weight in your digestive system. So for the females out there, do not beat yourself up during your menstrual cycle if the scale is up, because it's to be expected. And when you can anticipate it, you'll be way less let down. All right? And then that gets into our last thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to the scale. And that's food and water. And with this, I want to get back into that gut stuff. So food can cause weight fluctuations that are not related to body fat gain. Obviously, if you're in a calorie surplus and you're eating more than you're burning, then you are going to store those additional calories as weight. Okay? But that's the obvious thing. If you're overeating on calories over time, your body's going to gain body fat. But that's not what we're talking about today. So let's start with my favorite macro. Actually, you know what? Protein is probably my favorite, but I really fucking love carbs. I just love food. So every gram of carb comes with 3 to 4 grams of water. So if you're eating more carbs, you will hold on to more water, which will reflect on the scale. And this is why people think keto is magical, because you'll lose a lot of weight really fucking fast. But that weight is from water, because you get rid of carbs, so you lose a lot of water weight. Remember, on this weight loss journey that we're doing, this sustainable fat loss journey, it's not about losing weight as fast as possible. It's about losing weight as sustainably as possible. So don't fall for that bullshit. Also with food, we get back to the gut and we talk about digestive patterns. So your digestion patterns change as you make changes with your nutrition. So over the past couple weeks, you've been increasing the amount of protein that you're eating. You're probably eating less processed carbs, and that's going to equate to a different composition of your stool. That's just how it is. You're probably eating a lot less fatty foods too, or you're eating different types of fats. And this might cause a little bit of constipation right off the bat, which is another reason why taking care of your gut is so crucial and giving your body whole nutrient-dense foods that are going to make your gut feel its best. And this is also why I like to recommend most of my clients take a probiotic. Obviously, a probiotic is not a one-size-fits-all, and I hate that people promote it as such. Everybody on Instagram, when they talk about gut health because it's like a trending topic, they're like, you should be taking a probiotic. However, if somebody has such terrible gut issues and they take a probiotic, they're adding more bacteria on top of bacteria. Sometimes it can actually cause them to feel worse. So I like to do this on a person-to-person basis. But the majority of people, like 90% of people, should be taking a good quality probiotic. I personally take OptiGreens by First Form and have been taking them for 6 or 7 years at this point because they fucking work. You know? So if you change what you eat, your digestion is going to need to adapt. But that might cause you to be a little bit stocked up at first, which is going to add to weight gain. But again, it's not fat gain. It is literal food in your digestive system. So the way you can fix this is by just remaining consistent, giving your body time to adapt, taking a probiotic or digestive enzymes based on the individual. If you need help determining if that is you, go ahead, shoot me a message on Instagram, shoot me an email. More than happy to always help you guys and answer any questions that you have. But another thing that people do is in the first week here, we spoke about fiber and how you should be eating more of it. So when people eat more fiber, this can also pull more fluids in. So if you eat more fiber one day than you're used to, you might hold on to a little bit of water, which is going to reflect on the scale. And then, of course, inconsistent sodium intake can lead to water retention, resulting in an uptake in the scale. So sodium is an essential mineral that our body needs for proper nervous system and muscular function. Okay? You need it. But if you have more sodium one day, less the next, more the next, you're going all over the place, the scale might dance around a little bit, and that's okay because it's all fucking water. Okay? And going off of water, I made a reel probably about a year ago at this point. I should probably remake this to prove a point. So I weighed myself, and it was like at night. So I was already, you gain weight throughout the day. Usually I'll weigh in the morning, and I'm about 120 to 121. I'm a tiny human. I'm trying. But then later in the day, I'm usually like 127 because I eat food and water. So I drank 16 ounces of water, and then I weighed myself again. And guess what? The scale was up a pound because I drank 16 ounces, which is a pound, of water. And it literally took me 2 minutes to gain a pound of water. Not body fat. But if you're somebody who's going completely off of the scale, then it's easy to see why you're so let down and frustrated. Because even going back to what I said originally, in the mornings I weigh in at like 120, 121. But in the evenings, I'm like 127, 128. That can really fuck with your mind if you're doing that to yourself throughout the day. Look, don't be emotionally attached to the scale. This is real talk. Like, I let that piece of plastic destroy myself for over a year because I was so fucking obsessed with that number. Right now I weigh 121, 120, and I'm happier, leaner, stronger than I've ever been because I don't let that number define me. It's very rare that I weigh myself. Like, I weigh myself once a week just to make sure I'm not losing weight, to be quite honest. But I perform better in my workouts. I'm stronger. I feel so fucking good. And when that number was smaller, I felt like crap, and I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because of how much hate I had towards who I was. So if you're doing the things you need to do, day in and day out, that's all that matters. The scale will go down over time if that's the goal. All right, the last thing, I want you guys to keep in mind is if you're doing a sustainable fat loss journey, the scale might not go down as dramatically as you'd like it to go or as quickly as you'd like it to go, because the point is that you're losing body fat and that you're gaining muscle, because remember, more muscle that you have, the more calories you're going to burn, the faster your metabolism is going to be, the more easily you're going to lose body fat, and the more you're going to be able to sustain that body fat loss. So you might gain muscle, which is weight, but 1 pound of muscle looks dramatically different from 1 pound of fat. It takes up way less space, so you look way smaller. When I was 120 pounds and I didn't have as much muscle as I am today, I looked way different. So remember, if you lose fat and you gain muscle, the scale might remain the same or even go up. But your photos, how you fit in your clothes, how you feel during your workouts, how you feel throughout your life is going to significantly improve. And the scale is just one unit of measurement, one piece of data. And honestly, it's the piece that I look at least often. For a lot of the people that I work with, if they start to become obsessed with the scale, I just have them weigh in every 90 days. Because that way they can actually focus on the fucking process instead of being obsessed with a number on a scale. Focus on other things like photos and measurements, how your clothes fit, how you feel, your strength and your performance, your energy levels. If the scale isn't moving the way that you want, but you're doing the work, then don't stop. And this is, again, why I fucking love having a coach myself to keep me objective instead of thinking with my emotions and making emotionally driven decisions. And this is why I love so much to recommend people get a coach, so that you can have somebody helping you and looking at objective data and telling you like, hey, you're doing the work and we're moving in the right direction. Don't worry about the scale right now. Plus, let's be honest, guys. The scale can't measure sexy anyway. But I had to fit that in there somewhere. If you have any questions when it comes to anything that I spoke about today, please do yourself a favor. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. Shoot me an email. Whatever's going to work better for you guys. I'm more responsive on Instagram, I'll be completely honest. But that is week 5 for you. Go out and do one thing that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be.